going on, Titan fans? It's your host, Sam Hicks, here with Nick Lombardi and Sal, and we're bringing a Around the NFL special for you. It was kickoff Sunday, the time we've all been waiting for. It felt like Christmas morning. Everybody got to wake up. You got to get your coffee. For me, I got my whiskey, whatever everybody's kind of gets in the morning, and just got to enjoy a full slate of games. And I'm not going to lie, there were some surprises here in a lot of these games here. Obviously, if you're a betting man like myself, like Sal, you probably, as long as we took Nick's picks, we probably won some money. If you took me and Sal's pick, you probably lost a lot of money.
That's safe to say.
Yeah, that's definitely safe to say.
Nobody came out clean.
Nobody came out clean in this one. It was ugly. I tell you what we did pick right off the bat though. Cam Newton had his debut with the New England Patriots, and he looked clean. 21-11. Did you guys get to catch any of that one?
Yeah, I caught some of it. I think you got what you were expecting out of him. Didn't make any big mistakes. It was good to see him using his legs again. 2 rushing touchdowns is obviously something Bill Belichick and company are not used to from a quarterback. So right. It's exciting. It's a phenomenal matchup next week against Seattle. And I think the Patriots haven't missed a step from last year. I've been saying it from day one. They still need to be feared, and I think that was proved this afternoon.
Yeah, it shows just how good that coaching staff is to be able to adjust to go from Brady to Cam Newton in the different styles they have and basically revamp that offense without much of a hitch. So it was kind of fun watching what they did with that and just seeing Cam Newton back out there. I think a lot of people wrote him off as done, and he showed he still got some left in the tank.
Right. I think they kept it really simple. I don't think that they have everything implemented in their playbook right off the bat. I think they had some design runs for him. They just kept everything in his wheelhouse, and it just kind of worked out. I mean, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was clean on his passes. 15 for 19, nothing crazy, just 155 yards. That's what he had. And when it comes to Miami, I don't know how – I know that they're trying to they got Fitzpatrick in there. Typically, this is one of those games where he kind of goes off and just like everybody's like, oh, Fitzmagic. A few more games like this, and it's Tua time in Miami. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. One thing to note, though, he had 75 yards rushing this game, Cam Newton, 15 carries. Yeah. As good as that is, and as dangerous as that makes them as an offense, if he continues to have 15 carries every game, I don't foresee him finishing the season 100%. So I think they still need to work out some kinks on how to get him more involved with his arm rather than his legs. But, again, it was just great to see Cam Newton back, to his old ways and winning football games like we've been accustomed to seeing him do for a long time. So
right, yeah, 15 carries not sustainable. We all know that.
No.
Yeah, but like you said, Sam, I don't know how long you keep rolling with Fitz before are they committed to just redshirting Tua this year? I don't know what his health situation is, but yeah, Fitzmagic. That's the beauty and the curse of Fitzmagic is you'll get the electric 5 touchdown games and you'll get duds like this. So it'll be interesting to see what their plan is with Tua.
Yeah, if he's healthy, I think soon. If you're a Miami fan, you got to be calling for it. Everybody wants it, so we'll see what happens there. On Fox, obviously, I was flicking back and forth here. Seattle, they never felt like they weren't in control of this game. 38-25 against the Falcons. Russell Wilson 4 touchdowns. He's clean as ever, 31 for 35, 322 yards, clean as it can get from Russell Wilson here. A nice little sidearm throw, one of those Mahomes-esque throws, because Russell Wilson just doesn't get enough credit when it comes to MVP races. This year, I feel like it may be a completely different game if he's able to stay clean.
Yeah, he's the best deep ball thrower in the game. I even think it's a question at this point. You pair him up with Metcalf, who's had basically a 100-yard game with a touchdown. Yep. Lockett 100 yards. I mean, these guys got to be, chomping at the bits every morning to have a guy like Russell Wilson throwing the ball. Their defense obviously is a little bit lacking, at least from the first game is concerned. But when you got, Russell throwing the ball and he putting up the amount of points he does, that's not going to matter at the end of the day. So it's hard, it's tough not to call him the best quarterback in the NFL. It really is. It's a difficult thing to do right now.
You mentioned DK. It's kind of funny. Remember all the big deal people made, about his combine and how he wasn't agile and everything. But it's like, when you're that big and that strong and that fast, like, you don't need to run much else besides those deep routes. Like, people can't stop it. He's just a beast.
Yeah.
And that's a bad combo with Russ's arm and him running those routes. It's hard to stop.
That 4th and 5 where he just gets behind the defense and they just score that touchdown. It was just a bad breaker for Atlanta. You knew it was over right after that. Like, they just had it in control. DK is a physical specimen, and put that with Russell Wilson, the way that those guys play, they just figure out a way to get it done every single year. And I don't even know I don't know what kind of running game they actually have. I don't think they have an okay running game and they're really strong. But I mean, Russell Wilson is your guy there, and he can sling it.
Russell Wilson was their highest rusher with 30 yards, so that's something they got to work out. But side note, I'm glad that DK set the bar high for his Ole Miss counterpart with 100 yards and a touchdown. I think AJ will have that in the back of his mind, and not like he needs any more of a reason to show out, but that's something they're always going to be paired together as long as they play football. And it's good to see the bar set from DK because we all know in our heart of hearts that we believe AJ is the better of the two. So
of course,
it's good. It's good the bar set.
Yeah, bar is definitely set. AJ 95, you got to beat that. We need 110. The New York Jets, they decided to be the New York Jets today. Adam Gase is terrible. Buffalo takes it 27-17. Darnold comes out, throws an interception early. Did not look good. 21 for 35, 215, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and then just gets outplayed by Allen, who threw 33 for 46, 312 yards and 2 TDs, and was also their leading rusher at 57 yards and a rushing touchdown. Allen just gets it. Allen can get it done with his legs, the kick and throw. Is Buffalo going to contend for this division title or what?
I'm not going to go there yet. Again, when these quarterbacks are rushing for over 50 yards and having above 12 carries, typically that means there's something that's not really that can't be a game plan going into a week. Hey, we're gonna have our quarterback rush 15 times and then try to score that way. Their defense is legitimate. Their defense is one of the top in the league, hands down. But I want to see more of a sample size than just beating the Jets by 10 before I consider them a team that's going to contend with the Patriots, because it seems that it's going to be obviously those two, unless Tua comes in the next couple of weeks and dominates. Those two teams are going to be battling out for the division, but the future is looking bright this year for the Buffalo Bills for sure.
Yeah, I think they have a really deep roster on both sides of the ball. But I think Josh Allen is just a big question mark. I think they can compete for the AFC East. But if I'm Buffalo, I'm a little nervous. Like, if you're getting into the playoffs and have to trust Josh Allen, kind of like they did last year where he, pooped the bed a little bit.
Yeah.
He made some good plays today, but he made some real bad throws. He just doesn't have that touch accuracy that I think you need to have. So I think they'll compete, but I don't think they're a lock or anything as long as Josh Allen's QB.
Yeah, definitely not a lock. I do think that if the Bills or the Patriots continue to try to use their quarterbacks like running backs and one of them goes down, I think it gives the other one a huge advantage in that situation, depending on what happens there. I think both, whichever team can stay the most healthy, we'll see what happens when they battle it out. But I do think those games will be huge, and they'll be fun.
You're not beating Kansas City, Baltimore, Tennessee, etc. when your quarterback has double the amount of rushing yards as your next rusher. That's just that's not going to happen.
You're not going to be able to run like that. One of those teams are going to knock your quarterback out of the game. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, you're going to get smacked. Side note, I'm only in one fantasy league, and I made the mistake of not checking my roster, and I had Crowder on the bench, and he went off. I lost 20-something points from Crowder. That's great.
I don't think you're the only guy that made that mistake, though.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think there's been 3 times where I've hit Crowder, and every single time he underperformed. So I probably wouldn't have put him in anyway, but that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like Sammy Watkins. I think at 25, 30 points.
Yeah, he went off. He was
on
Yeah.
about 25% of the week one roster. I mean, that's just how fantasy goes.
Yeah, I gave up on him. I gave up on him in the Kansas City days. The Bears, Nick, obviously you're the one that got this right. Believe in Mitch. Just goes off they 21 points in the fourth quarter. What the actual hell? Trubisky 20-36, 242 yards, 3 touchdowns. Outduels Stafford. Stafford only throws for 1 touchdown, throws an INT. I will say this: Detroit had this game at the end. If their running back is a little bit more sure-handed, but a win's a win. The Bears apparently are back 1-0, and they get out of there with a 4-point win against the Lions, and the Lions just has to. It's just Nick. I guess you're from Detroit. You said
I was born there. Yeah,
born there. I mean, I feel for the Detroit fans so bad. I see why Barry Sanders retired early. Just can't catch a break. They did everything that they had to do to win that game early, and I thought it was. And I'd be damned if they didn't give it away in the fourth quarter. 21 points in the fourth quarter is just can't. That's just ridiculous.
And against like a team that couldn't score points at all for the entire game. Like I was joking about believing Mitch, but man, he stunk for the majority of that game. Even during the comeback, he made some big plays, but I mean, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm still not super confident in him going forward. You kind of feel like you stole that one instead of that you had a decisive victory. Like you said, Swift dropped that sure touchdown. I mean, a win's a win at the end of the day, but I think that's a game where both teams come away like not feeling too great about their, chances going forward.
Yeah, I went on our former colleague Austin's live post-game show on Twitter, and I made a comment that he loosely agreed with. Trubisky is a very similar type individual, at least with how his fans feel about him, as Marcus Mariota. He really is. He's that guy that you just can't give up on, as much as he sometimes tries to force you to, but then he'll do something to just keep you on that hook. I mean, listen, the bottom line is this: the Bears and the Lions, just something that I had forgotten. The Bears just have the Lions number. I mean, this is I think the 4th straight game that Trubisky's had 3 or more touchdowns against the Lions. This guy's, a barely average quarterback as it stands right now, and so he just has his games against the Lions. Again, like you mentioned, Nick, they should have lost. Swift is a guy who I wanted out of the draft. They didn't get him. I still think he's going to be very good for Detroit, but that's a moment you're never going to forget. Your first game in the NFL, you have a game-winning catch in your hands, and he just pulled a Nick Williams on Detroit, which somebody on Twitter had said. I retweeted them. Right, wrong, or different, though. Bears, big game 1, and who knows if their defense can maintain a high level of play and Trubisky keeps his head on straight. I think that division's up for grabs. We'll talk more about the Vikings later. But
so, Sal, what did you say to Austin? Did you tell him to, speaking from experience, to cut your losses now before you get hurt too bad?
No, I didn't. All I said was Mitch is the Mariota of the NFC, and him and his co-host agreed. And it's I don't know. The kid is just weird. He's got a bunch of flashes in the pan, but they go out quickly. You don't see him for a while. Yeah,
we'll see what happens. I will say Adrian Peterson looked really good with 90-something yards. They probably should have rode him a little bit more in the fourth quarter, and they probably win that game because he can milk it. I think that's what happened. They got away from that, and that cost them the game. Speaking of that division, Green Bay, 43-34. I feel like Green Bay had this game in hand most of the game, and then slowly but surely, as I stopped paying attention to it, I'm hearing they had to recover an onside kick just to win this thing, and I have no idea how it got that close. But Aaron Rodgers, statement game for him. You draft Jordan Love if you want to. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. It is what it is. Goes 32 for 44, 364 yards and 4 TDs, no interceptions. Clean game by Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, he's still Aaron Rodgers. I think last year you started hearing, a little bit of chatter. Oh, he's starting to get washed up. Here comes the decline. And like you said, kind of a statement game here, showing he still got it. And Devontae Adams is great. Like, I saw he made some crazy catches today and kind of just abused that secondary. I'm a little surprised they threw it that much. Like LaFleur loves to run the ball, but Aaron Rodgers can still.
Yep.
Yeah, I've said this from the jump. The Packers would be the dumbest individuals in the world to ever consider getting rid of this guy until he decides he wants to stop playing football. I mean, he is a top 5 quarterback in this league anytime he steps on the field, and he proved it as he typically does again this week. Didn't expect it to be this much of a shootout. I thought both defenses would show up a little bit more than they did. I had a little bit more confidence in their front defensive lines, and they really didn't get a whole lot done there. But, yeah, this was a phenomenal game as we all expected it to be. And this division is going to be something really fun to watch based off of what you see from week 1. Things could change, of course. The Bears could go 1-15, and the Packers could, win every single game. You never know, but right now it looks like it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Right. I mean, the Packers had a really great regular season last year, and like they got to the NFC Championship game, and then they just disappeared. So who knows what will happen with them? But as long as Devontae Adams and Thielen are balling out the way that they are for those two teams, any one of those teams can take off. And they have 2 good running backs in Jones and Cook, who can kind of carry some of the load off of those quarterbacks, and that makes both of those teams extremely dangerous. I can't wait to play the Packers and see how we do against those guys for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't allow them to throw for 350 and run for 170, like Minnesota did.
So for some reason, I feel like we play a little bit more defense in the AFC, but we'll see. Yeah. This one is obviously one of the bigger shockers for me. Philadelphia just disappeared against the Washington football team and just gave it up. Washington got 8 sacks, rallied, and just took over that game. Carson Wentz, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, continues to just have he gets all the love every single preseason, and the Philadelphia fans love him for some reason, and then he just continues to just let him go. I mean, they were up 17-0, and they lose this game by 10.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It was my lock of the week. And not only did Philly not cover, they lost by 10. So
log it down.
I don't have a whole lot to say. I will say this: Dwayne Haskins in the first half was everything I expected him to be. I think he had about 20 yards passing at the end of at halftime. But Philadelphia just fell apart. There's just no way around it. They decided to not even show up in the second half, and their coaching staff didn't make the necessary adjustments to keep them in the game once the Washington football team, still weird to say, once their train started rolling down the tracks, they had no answer for it. You got to give them credit. I still don't foresee Washington winning more than 5 games.
Nope.
But this is definitely a statement that, they're not as bad as I originally thought they were. We'll see, but this is my lock of the week, so I don't have much to say.
I'm saying.
I thought that Ron Rivera hire was going to be a good one, and kind of like, how Malarkey stabilized the Titans after we were all over the place. Sometimes getting those veteran head coaches kind of just to smooth things over makes a huge difference. I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly. I was pretty shocked that they won this game. Not having Miles Sanders definitely hurt, but this is still a game that, Philly should have won. So they've got to be kind of panicking at this point. If you can't beat Washington, like, the rest of the schedule is going to be pretty tough.
To put up 0 touchdowns in the second, 0 points the second half, it's bananas. Like that, Philly lost this game. No, I'm not trying to take it away from Washington, but Philly lost this game. You got to be able to do something. That's just it's on Philly.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it moving. Terrible game by Philly.
Side note, though, before we go, incredible commitment by John Rivera. He literally took an IV at halftime. He's battling cancer, and he's still leaving it all on the line. It's just
awesome story.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. He really is. So
it's impossible. You got to want to play for that guy 100%.
And nobody's going to tell me that didn't have a huge factor in the second half, because they know what he had to go through to finish out that game. And it's hard not to root for Washington in that division. Honestly, I don't think they're going to win many games, but I certainly hope they do because I'm not a fan really of any of the other teams, and there's no reason to dislike the Washington football team. So, moving
on. Teddy Bridgewater had his debut with the Carolina Panthers. Comes up short. Las Vegas Raiders. Jacobs just runs all over him for 3 TDs. Derek Carr, mediocre. Bridgewater, mediocre. There was just no stopping Jacobs in this game. McCaffrey did what McCaffrey usually does, gets 2 TDs, but Jacobs just took over this game, and Carolina couldn't keep up.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting a change at quarterback by the Raiders in the next 2 or 3 weeks. The backup that I believe should take over the reins is currently injured, so I think they'll hold on to Derek for a couple more weeks.
I think Nathan Peterman's healthy.
Yeah, he is. He is. But there is a slinging Hawaiian in the background. I think chomping at the bit.
Oh yeah, that one guy.
Yeah, Jacobs is insane. He's absolutely ridiculous. We all knew this was going to be a battle of the running backs.
Yeah.
I figured Carolina would win this game. No, I took the Raiders. I did take the Raiders. Yeah. But not a whole lot to say here. This was just an all-out running back brawl, and Vegas came out on top. That's really all.
We all took Vegas in that one because we all thought that they were going to be able to kind of come out a little bit hot. And Jacobs. The crazy thing is neither Jacobs or McCaffrey ran for over 100, but they both got 2 TDs because they're just that efficient. Like they're just good. I don't know how good Las Vegas really is based off of this game, but that's a great start for those guys, and I like John Gruden, so good win for those guys.
Huge game for Jason Witten today. He had 1 catch for 2 yards, so really big showing up for Witten's first game outside of Dallas.
We're keeping the booth seat warm for him whenever he decides.
Definitely tight